Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it seems like a lot of people misunderstand what I've done with when I talk about these topics like the fake natty thing. When I talk about topics of showing athletes who are showing negative signs of abuse or whatever, my goal is not to tear anybody down. I don't care about tearing down Holly Holmes versus Ronda Rousey. I don't care about tearing down Simeon Panda or Michael Hearn. My goal is to empower you with knowledge. Your mind is the single most powerful weapon and most powerful tool that you will ever possess throughout your entire life. But without knowledge, without information, it's difficult to effectively use your brain to apply any sort of critical thinking skills to achieve anything in life or to even avoid being scammed or conned. Knowledge is power. There's nothing else in this world that is more powerful than having knowledge. And I don't care what the topic is. So when I talk about these things with steroids, I'm trying to help you guys on multiple levels. I'm not just trying to help the natural guys, I'm trying to help the enhanced guys. And when we're talking about things like spotting side effects, that is to give people a realistic understanding of what side effects are, what they do, what these drugs do to you both in a positive and negative way. If you're going to get involved in training for anything, it doesn't matter whether it's to be fit, to be aesthetic, to compete in a sport, you will be exposed to drugs at some point. It is unavoidable. And if you're walking into that blind and you don't understand these things, you are going to make uneducated choices. And the reality is, when I talk about what these drugs do, people need to understand not just what they do, but what they do at different doses, different amounts, what they are capable of, what they are not capable of. Because a lot of people are standing around, they argue this whole natty versus not thing as if it's a black and white thing and not understand the degrees of enhancement that exists out there. A lot of people out there are arguing about whether someone is natty or enhanced who you can't even afford their drug bill. You might not even genetically be able to tolerate the amount of drugs that they take without horrific effects on your body because you don't actually realize just how much they are needing to take to get where they are. And oftentimes it's a lot more than you think while you're sitting there arguing if they're natty or enhanced. And so what ends up happening, a lot of people will hear this and maybe they need to really reassess their goals. If you're standing around arguing whether someone is natty or enhanced and they use large amounts of drugs, you're setting yourself up to be in a very serious, very bad situation. And here's what I mean. For example, a lot of guys are like, well, if it turns out my natty hero is on drugs, then I guess I will get on drugs. And you're thinking that maybe $100 a month worth of drugs is going to get you there. And what you don't know is that maybe they're using a lot more than you think. I talk to people. I barter in information. I've done this my whole life. You guys have probably figured some of this out. I talk to all the other YouTubers. A lot of the guys who you argue about whether they're natural or enhanced, they tell me they're drug stacks because I trade information. I barter in information. Now, also, I don't ever give out their information because if you start giving people secrets out, no one tells you their secrets. So I have a real good idea of what people are using out there. I have a real good idea of what all the top powerlifters, all of them use because I talk to the coaches who know. I talk to the people who make their drugs. I find out what everybody is using. And so I have a very good idea of what it takes to achieve a certain goal. And so you might be thinking you're going to go get on a little low dose of testosterone and trenbolone and look like your favorite hero who you've been debating if they're natural or enhanced or not. And the reality is their drug stack might include 100 milligrams of trinacetate, 100 milligrams of Masteron prop, and 50 milligrams of test prop every single day. That might be what they use. And if you think that sounds crazy or like a lot of drugs at 250 milligrams of that stack a day, remember Ziz publicly admitted to 900 milligrams of test and 900 milligrams of tren a week. And he didn't look anywhere near as impressive as many of these guys who you argue about what they use and if they're mildly enhanced or not enhanced. They're majorly enhanced oftentimes. And so you might see your natty hero and say, okay, well, that's not that much, but you don't have the connections that he has. He might be paying for each of those bottles $50 a piece because he's buying directly from a chemist who makes them, who actually makes accurately dosed drugs. And so you're like, okay, he's going through about 2 bottles a week. He's only spending $100 a week. That's $400 a month. That's not terrible until you realize that for his $400 a month goes towards making him money. That's part of his income. It's part of his living. He makes his livelihood based upon that investment. You might just be trying to do it to look good. And what you might find is that you can't find those same substances that are accurately dosed for what that guy gets them at. You might have to pay $100, $150 a bottle. All of a sudden, his drug stack turns into a $300 a week drug stack for you. That's $1,200. You could be spending $1,000 or $1,200 a month because you're not as connected as he is, trying to use the same drugs that he used. Then you find that you don't have a genetic tolerance for his drugs, and so you're spending this $1,000 a month for a drug stack that you can't handle the side effects like he can because his genetics are different than yours. And so understanding how much some of these guys use and understanding what these drugs are capable of doing and not capable of doing, understanding the nature of the black market of how they work, can save you a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble. And so when I try to teach you these guys things, I'm trying to empower you with knowledge. I'm not trying to tear anybody down. I'm not trying to even belittle the fake natties unless they just really need to have a little bit of fun poked at them. This is about creating awareness, empowering people with knowledge, educating people so that they really and truly understand this whole fitness and athletic world that they are getting into, and they're not walking into it blind and ignorant and ready to be taken advantage of and conned. And remember, just like in any other endeavor in life, knowledge is power.